Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast, a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I want to first tell you today, January 13th, 2020, you can get the free residency interview help book. It's got a cover with a movie clapperboard, the one that you say, ready, action, or whatever. And I think it's because when I was thinking about what to do with the cover, it came to me because I was thinking, well, really in an interview, you're trying to say, I can play the role of resident. And if you're convincing enough, then hopefully you match and get the invite. But what I want to talk about today is for those of you that didn't get a residency interview invite, it's got to be nerve-wracking that many of your friends are saying, yeah, I'm making my plans to go here and here and here, and maybe you didn't get one. So at residencyhelp.com, you can go to the spreadsheet and kind of see what's going on with this year. But to let you know, 1,600 students will not get an invite at all. So 20% of the 8,000 that applied this year. And if you're a Reddit fan or other social media fan, it's pretty clear exactly what's happening. It's either recommendations and or LOI, and that they didn't score high enough. So what is it that you can do to change those? So right now I'm talking to those 1,600 students that did not get any interview invitations. Okay, so the first thing is, how do you get better recommendations or know which ones to change around? If you're going to do that phase 2 match, you really want to see if you can get any information about what was in that recommendation, and just go to the preceptor like, look, I didn't match. I understand you needed to be honest. Were you able to or not able to put highly recommend? And if they were saying, no, I was only able to put recommend and kind of put a few sentences, I didn't really remember a lot about what we did and things like that. And that, kind of says, hey, you need to change that recommendation. And it's going to happen one of two ways. One, you could retain that recommender and say, hey, well, would it be okay if we kind of talked about things so that we could more robustly fill out that recommendation? Or if it's a bad recommendation, then are there preceptors that you're going through now, January, February, that you would be able to use for your recommendations? Okay. So the first part is saying, okay, well, how can I improve the recommendations? That's going to be the very first thing that the phase 2 sites are going to look at. The second thing, obviously, is a better LOI. And you want to look at your LOI and say, does it start with, I want to express my sincere interest, I had the pleasure to meet your residents? And if it does, then you really want to look at it again and see if this is something you want me to help you with. So again, I've helped, it was in the 70s. I helped a little over 70 students this year with their letters of intent. And I've gotten really, really good at this, and I can turn it around really quickly, though we wouldn't really want to turn it around that quickly right now, and I'll explain. So if you get no interview and you want to go to phase 2, then contact me. We can start working on your LOI, and I can start helping you kind of transition it from a so-so LOI or one that didn't get an interview, the one that has a very good chance of getting one. Now, we can't finish it until March 13th. And the reason for that is that that's match day, the day before spring break, but at 12 noon Eastern time on March 13th, that's when the sites that did not match open up and say, hey, we're going to accept student applications. Now, you can't apply yet. You can't apply until St. Patrick's Day at 9 a.m., and I am absolutely not saying it is a good thing to not get an interview, but not getting an interview gives you a tremendous advantage in time. It allows you to do three things. One, to kind of sink in that you didn't get the interview and that you didn't get to go to the next step. 2, it allows you to have time to talk to the recommenders and kind of figure out the recommendation have. And 3, you can really take time to think about the LOI and why you want to do a residency if you do want to continue with phase 2 of the match. Now, do you have a chance? Yeah, about 25% of those that apply in phase 2 are going to get an interview, and about 10% of those that go into the phase 2 are going to match. And there's a great episode with Key Gales on the Pharmacy Residency podcast who and I'll talk about this second group in a minute, but he admitted to not interviewing well, and now he's at Indiana and he's having a great residency, and definitely check that out. Keegales is his name, Key Gales. He worked for me for a long time, but kind of give you some. He's just a really good guy and really great information in that interview. Okay? But if you were in that group that didn't get an interview, you have more work to do with the recommendations and the LOI, but you also have more time to do it. Now, I'm kind of jumping the gun by talking about Group 2. While Group 1 was 1,600 students that will not get an interview at all, Group 2 will be 2,400 students that will get an interview but will not match. Now, at noon on March 13th, again, the sites that didn't match will release them, and you only have Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of spring break to prepare to apply for that 9 a.m. Eastern Time opening on St. Patrick's Day on March 17th. Now you say, well, that's not the deadline. I'm like, no, it's not the deadline. But I've heard from last year that sites were closing in hours. So they've got so many applications that they just shut it down later that day or the next day. So you have 4 days, if you're one of those 2,400 students that did not match and want to participate in phase 2, to have the very best chance. And I'll be there, talking about this those days and also helping people with their LOIs. Again, if you want me to help you, go to residencyhelp.com, see if I'm someone that you would want to help, or maybe look at the advice I gave and see if you ended up taking it or didn't take it. So again, you have a 25% chance to interview, 10% chance to match. That's a 19 or 20 on a 20-sided die. But I've seen, again, those programs close quickly, so want to be ready if something happens, and I'll talk more about that then. So then what happens after that? Then by Wednesday, April 1st, which is 2 weeks later, you'll rank the sites you want, and then 1 week after that, those who matched in phase 2 will find out. But really, you have those 4 days to get everything in order. And when I say 4 days, it's actually, so it's Friday. It's a little less than 4 actual days to get that done. But hey, let's hopefully it's again a blessing and a curse that it happens on spring break, so you might have the time to reapply. But then again, your professors are gone. Those preceptors, fortunately, they don't have spring break, so they'll be available. But you, of course, as soon as you don't match, you want to contact everyone as soon as the franticness goes away and start getting that process started. Okay, but hey, let's right now get you through the interview. If you did get an interview invite, free book, Residency Interview Help, is available today, Monday, January 13th, 2020. Again, so many things that you can do to make it much more likely that your interview will succeed and that the steps that you took after the interview will succeed. I put all of those Q&As in this book. Again, it's free to you. The only service I provide is helping coaching students, answering their questions, and doing their letters of intent, because I'm one of the best in the world at that, and that's where I should be doing it. And it really is almost unfair when you have me on your team that you'll see the difference. And I've had students go, wow, that's like that show Extreme Home Makeover or whatever. It's Extreme LOI Makeover. And some people are like, I didn't really know that it could be that good. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the shoulder. It's just you have had so little exposure to amazing writing, and taking the time to really just say, this is why I want a residency. This is why I want your site. And I'm not going to write what I think you want me to write or expect you to write. I'm going to write what really is in my heart, and that's what's going to get you the interview in phase 2. So I will talk to you guys again. If you want to get on my email list, residencyhelp.com. Email goes out every Friday, so always check your junk email box for that. And excited to continue this process with you guys. Love hearing that people are getting interviews, and here to help those that didn't. And I assure you, I can help you see what might be missing or what might have gone awry, and give you the very best chance to succeed in phase 2. Hey, and if you're interested in learning more about the residency interview process, go to residencyhelp.com or amazon.com or audible.com and pick out 100 strong residency interview questions, answers, and rationales.